Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Lana. Welcome. Monday nights. I used to do Monday hook'ems. I know it's late, so you may not even see this until tomorrow. Oh, I've been sitting on some themes. Oh goodness, where do we begin? So we just came through 8/8, new moon in Leo. It's a fiery season. I'm sure you're all feeling, whether you're coming out of the heaviness, the idea that, oh my gosh, what's going on in the world? What's going on in your world? Are you focused on what's going on in your own life? Or are you distracted by what's going on outside of you in the bigger picture, the big world? I think a lot of us lost sight of ourselves with everything else going on in the world, and that this time is such a pivotal time for us to come back to ourselves, especially with the new moon, because what we really need to do is end the old cycles. It's time to start fresh. Everybody wants a fresh start, right? No matter what is going on out in the world, you can find the good and you can find the bad. But the most important thing you're ever going to find is what's going on within you. If we're not focused on what's going on within us, it's real easy for the externals to take us out of our peace. So, dis-ease is not being comfortable with something. That's a sign. And it starts in the mind. The body is simply exhibiting what is going on up here. And it's always giving you the signs, blessings, and lessons to guide you on your way. This is our GPS system. We have 5 senses. It's kind of like our stars, constellations, mapping the direction of where we want to go with our lives. If we are not tapped in, tuned into our own senses that make us sensitive beings, extrasensory, perceptive, intuitive, that is what heightens your intuition, the into me I see. So there's a lot of this discomfort, whatever it is you're feeling. And then have you noticed? The unhealed person doesn't look within, they lash out. They project it, they spew it. There's so much toxicity within them. There's so much poison. They shoot daggers. They poison with words. Because hurt people hurt people. And believe it or not, when someone is in such deep pain within themselves and they're unaware of it, and I've learned this from learning from my own personal experience to learn to have compassion with myself. Because of this, I can recognize it in others, that when someone is in such deep pain within themselves, they don't even realize it. What ends up happening is they are projecting their pain out onto others, playing the victim of their circumstances, replaying the same track, the same cycle, the karmic behaviors and patterns in their lives, in every scenario, in every situation, and then wondering why it keeps happening to them. But the thing is they're in such deep pain, reliving the same story over and over and over again, that what they don't recognize is that it's not the person outside of them that has done anything to them. That it is a self-infliction, a re-experiencing, recapitulating of the story. Because when we tell the story, we relive it. When we are stuck in the story, we continually repeat it. It doesn't go away just because we don't want it to be there. You can't tell somebody to not feel their pain. They have to be willing to feel it, to heal it. They have to be willing to truly be with it and find the comfort within that discomfort. Because in lies the comfort of the discomfort. The discomfort is where you find yourself through to the comfort. We all have had experiences in our lives that have really shaken us to our cores. But that's how we build resilience, strength of character, and also learn courage in the face of fear. If you're unwilling to feel your pain fully, it will continually show up to you. Pain is a teacher. Pain is your greatest gift. Pain is there for you to learn compassion, to seek a healthy balance in your life. It's to give you that experience to recognize that, oh, this doesn't feel good. I move in a different direction. But sometimes when people relive pain, it's because that's all they ever knew. And when pain is all you've ever known and it's familiar, you gravitate more toward that because that's the vibration and the energy you carry with you. It's hard for someone to get out of their pain and move into their true pleasure if they don't even know what that pleasure feels like, or if it's not something that's consistent and it's not constant. So it constitutes 3 of the basic human needs for a habit or an addiction. It needs to be consistent, reliable, dependable. It has to be something that makes you feel significant. And sometimes pain is why, sometimes it's the pain in the addiction to it that keeps us stuck in the addiction of going towards it all the time. It's why people stay in abusive relationships, Stockholm syndrome, because that's what they know. That's what they've always known. And it's more familiar, no matter how painful it is. And so the more toxic pain, the unhealthy an individual is, the more the squeezing, the pressure eventually gets to them and they start spewing it out. If you recognize you witness someone is very bitter, they're attacking, they're hypercritical, they're the kind of person you don't want to be around, those are the people you need to give the most compassion towards. You need to disarm them with kindness, with love and affection, with patience, because those people don't even have that for themselves. And probably 99% of the time, they're that much more on the inside than they are on the external. So the way that they show up to you is enhanced. It's magnetized, magnified within them. The hypercritical person on the outside, the person that you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're too intense, they're really toxic, they're really negative, they're really bringing me down, they're very heavy with their energy. That's amplified within them. The more you recognize that a person is in pain, you can show up to them with compassion. That when they're spewing their pain out at you, they're actually looking to find the healing by putting it outside of themselves. And they don't even really know that. That's an unconscious. It's very unconscious when a person turns around and they are throwing their pain at you. They're not thinking, okay? Essentially what's happening when someone is so deep and stuck in their pain, they are seeking a solution unconsciously, unknowingly. It's the finger pointing out and the 3 fingers pointing back. It's the recognizing there's something not right within me, but not looking within and going without. It's the, if I can find someone else and fix them, it'll fix me. It's this duality, it's a paradox. It really is. That if I fix someone else, that'll fix everything. And that doesn't happen because you can't fix someone else. You have to work on you. And that's the place we're at right now in humanity, in the collective consciousness. In other videos that I've made, I've talked about we're like a bunch of monkeys running around flinging our unhealed toxic shit around at each other. Like the stuff we haven't worked on, it shows. Our shit shows on the outside. No matter how much you want to think someone can't see it, it's revealed because the body is always showing and telling on the mind. So even if you're not speaking it or talking about it, 9 times out of 10, your body language is speaking it for you, even if you don't think it is. So I sat with this the other day because I was realizing, sometimes for me, therapy is doing yard work, okay? So I go into a meditative state. I just get into reflecting things. And I know how much I am hypercritical with myself. I know how I need to be more compassionate, more patient with positivity. I mean, we're not always going to be perfect here, people. With kinder words, because ahimsa is practicing nonviolence, and that's also in the form of words. It's the thoughts that go in your head, the mental floss. How are you cleaning out your stuff out of the garbage pit of the mind is the armpits. It's the sitting in meditation. It is the watching and witnessing those thoughts that you say, I can't meditate. I have a crazy, overactive mind. Well, yeah, you do all the time. It's just that you never sit still long enough to witness it or listen to it, to confront it, to sit down and go, wow, what is this really about? Let me go down the rabbit hole. Because the rabbit hole is essentially connecting the dots and listening to yourself and inquiring within. Because nobody needs to give you the answers. You have everything you need within you. When you start having compassion for yourself, it makes it that much easier to show up, have compassion for others, and hold the space for them. We're always acting out of fear or out of love. And a lot of people are in a lot of pain, so there's a lot of fear. The pain is of not getting your needs met. It's the seeking of the externals to fulfill that, when in reality it's internal. You're the only one who can fulfill your needs. As an adult, you need to embrace your inner child and let them know that I've got your back. I love you. I'm not going to abandon you. But every time you go outside of yourself seeking the quick fix, seeking something to make you feel better that you're not seeking within you, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're abandoning your inner child, your little one. Because all he or she needs is for you to acknowledge when she is feeling abandoned, rejected, unloved. It sounds simple, but most of the times we're not doing it, because if it were so simple, we wouldn't have the situations we have in the world right now. The only reason that people will point fingers outside of themselves is because they don't want to take personal responsibility. They don't want to be accountable to their own choices and behavior. That's playing the victim. And no matter what, whenever you're pointing a finger out, you are becoming and claiming to be the victim. And that's disempowering yourself. And that is giving power over you and handing it over to whoever it is you claim you are being attacked by, you are being held against your will, whatever it is the story is in your mind. Because it's all stories. It's all stories. So sit with this for a moment. The next time you see someone, and you know you've experienced this, and I know if you're out in the world, I keep my bubble kind of small. I don't go out looking for conflict. And when I am confronted with something, I'm like, oh, what did I need out of that? And I always get something out of it. I always do. There's always a blessings and lessons in every interaction. Every situation is going to give you an opportunity for your growth, to be more compassionate. Can you show love in the face of pain that maybe it inflicts on you because you get triggered by it? So, we have empaths. Are you a sensitive person? Are you easily able to pick up on someone's energy, their emotions, their feelings? But then the question is, are you a healed empath? Or are you still triggered? Because here's the balancing act of an empath. When you get set off by someone's emotions or feelings, oh my gosh, I'm feeling that, it's essentially rubbing an old wound in you. That's what empaths are. They're able to pick up on something within themselves that's showing up in another person. But the unhealed empath doesn't know which is theirs and which is the other person's. So they sit there thinking it's the other person, but maybe it's really their own. This is the part of the shadow work that we all, if you haven't already done it, need to inquire and work with. Because this is the juicy work, is recognizing I have a pain and someone is rubbing against it. How do you think a diamond is formed? That's your resilience. That is the opportunity to see more clearly. Because you have to feel the pain. You have to feel the discomfort to find your way through to the comfort. Pain is the biggest teacher we have. And the majority of us, that's the only way we learn, isn't it? Through pain. Without the pain, how would we know our pleasure? So because we're in a dualistic world, this or that, good or bad, pretty, ugly, whatever it is, true, false, yin, yang, because we live in this life of duality, polarities, like attracts like and opposites attract, or whatever you want to throw out there, the truth of the matter is, if we didn't feel pain, we wouldn't know pleasure. And without the pleasure, we wouldn't have pain. And the more you're willing to go in to feel the pleasure, you got to expect the equal amount of pain is going to be on the other side at some point. And when you come to that realization and you own and accept and allow that, then you realize, wow, I don't want to get my heart broken, but you know what? It was worth it. Didn't have to last a lifetime, but guess what? You got to be willing to go in all the way. Not dipping a toe, all in or not at all, right? This is what life is about. We're here to live richly, fully, but the majority of people aren't even living to begin with. But they're afraid of death. Go figure. Somebody want to explain this to me? Why are we so afraid? What are we so afraid of? To die. If we're not living already, you're already there. So what's there to lose at that point? Just going to say that. I'm going to put that out there. Because there are a lot of people out there running around in such fear and claiming to be the victim of it when they're the ones that are playing into their own fear. False evidence appearing real. Face everything and rise. You always got an opportunity. But are you going to live in fear? Because that's not living at all. That's living to die. And that makes no sense. And that's not why we're here. We did not incarnate as humans in these physical bodies. We're here to be fully present, grounded in these bodies. This human existence is a precious, treasured life. Treat it as such. It's sacred. If you're not treating your life as a devotion, as a prayer, as sacred, what are you doing? What are you doing? We've all been made in God's image. Just think about that for a moment. Perfect in God's image. And the truth is we need nothing outside of ourselves. But we all need to claim that which is within us. If we're denying what is within us, we will accept whatever's thrown at us. And this time and age of whatever's going on out in the world, the more you deceive yourself, the easier you can be deceived. The more you're willing to get to know yourself, to thine self be true, the more that you own and claim your dark, your light, everything about yourself, nobody can hold that power over you because you claim that power. This is where we're at in humanity right now. We need to claim our personal power to be personally responsible for the choices we made, not to cower and to... We need to stop being so self-critical. We came here for these experiences. Every single one of them is sacred, is beautiful as it is and as it has been. This life is so precious. Don't give it over to evil. Don't be willing to sell yourself short or sell yourself out for instant gratification, for fear of missing out, for false idolatry. Man's trying to play God right now, people. At what point are people going to wake up to that? Every day you wake up, take a deep breath. Be grateful. That is your connection to Source, Spirit, the breath, the lungs, the heart houses your soul. All of this is a sacred temple. Our connection to God is through the breath, through spirit. Inspiration. You inspire, you take in the life force, the breath of God every time you breathe in. And every time you breathe out, we all get to share and partake because we are all of God's source. And don't deny yourself that. Don't poo-poo on that. Don't say, oh no, that's a separate entity, because the truth of the matter is, Jesus was trying to teach us. That's what he was, a teacher. I am the Son of God. You are the Son of God. You are the daughter of God. Meaning, you can do everything I can do. I'm not showing you anything you shouldn't be able to know within you and do for you. Because the truth is that we are all Christ consciousness incarnated. But most people, that's a lot to take on. That's a lot of responsibility. When you claim that, though, that's when you claim your power back. When you claim your sovereignty, your truth, because you are that powerful Christ consciousness. The more we recognize the other is you, the more compassion we have for one another, the more we can heal this world. But we got to do the work within us first. We have to be willing to claim our own truth so that we don't fall for all the lies. Because those lies will take us out if we're not owning it. Owning our truth denies the lies. Owning our truth connects us back to Source. That's what we're here to do. Connect ourselves back to the God Source, to Spirit. That Spirit within you. It's within every single one of us. It's a beautiful gift. And so when you see someone who is in pain and they're trying to spit it at you or make you feel it, find compassion for that other person, because at some point you've probably felt that pain. You've probably been there too, right? When you spot it, you've got it. You've experienced it. You might even still have it. We all are trying to heal through old traumas, old wounds. And the truth of the matter is that relationship, how we relate to ourselves is how we relate to another. How we relate to another is a direct mirror of how we're relating to ourselves. The more compassion we can find with ourselves, the easier it's going to be to extend that to others. Because we'll recognize within the other person, my gosh, I feel your pain because I've had that. I've experienced that. I know what that feels like. You'll be more willing to listen, to be patient. You'll also be willing to discern and learn if that person isn't willing and receptive. Because sometimes people, they just want to be in their pain. And you have to honor that and not partake in it. There's a certain discernment that you have to learn through your own knowing of yourself. Because there was a point when you could not be told, and you yourself were not ready to be in a relay, in a relationship where the other person was supporting and holding you. Because sometimes our pain is so deep, we got to sit in our own shit. And if we're not willing to sit in our own shit, don't think that we have to be able to bring someone else into it. When someone else is in front of us, that is the face of God. And so when you look in the mirror, you should also be thinking the same thing. But we rarely give ourselves that because that is something we've been shamed into thinking that that's not possible. And I'm not talking about ego here, people. I'm talking about true knowing of your heart and soul. And this is truth. But truth can only be felt for you to understand it and to know it. So have compassion for those who are so deep within their pain. They lash out to strike you with it, because it's an unconscious lashing out at you that they don't even see it because they're so unconscious of it. What they're really doing is to seek an end to that pain within them. They seek to inflict pain but wish to end it within themselves. In some unconscious, crazy way, they think that if they can lash out this pain, it'll go away. That's what anger really is. Unresolved pain, resentment, stored up, unresolved trauma. We only blow up because we can't hold it in any longer. And sometimes someone sets off the last fuse that the buildup has been going. It's not ever the person who gets to be on the other end of that blow up. But sometimes you need to be the catalyst. Sometimes they need somebody to bring it out of them. Nobody should feel like they're being attacked. But if you are the strong enough person, if you are that person who can hold the space, that's a blessing and a gift too. Because sometimes it's within that eruption, that anger, that the person actually feels relief because of somebody who is able to hold the sacred space for them to release it. Not everybody can do that. That takes a very strong light worker. That takes a very strong person who is able to hold and maintain space for another person. So I wouldn't just expect anybody to be able to do that. And not everybody can do it for every person, because there are certain personality types that will not allow it to happen. They will still be caged within their anger instead of being able to harness or to release it. But see, this is where I'm talking about not everybody is at that level of being able to hold others. So this is the discernment I'm talking about. You have to learn to discern. Are you someone who can honestly sit there without your ego that says, I can sit this through, or your ego that goes to the other extreme and how dare they? There has to be the discernment in knowing whether or not you can walk away, because not everybody can be in that energy, nor should be. It depends on how much you've worked on yourself, to where you don't absorb it and to where you don't walk away feeling depleted as well. So remember that hurt people, and that is not a conscious thing. It is a deep pain within. Pain inflicts pain. That's the bottom line. Don't absorb it or react to it if you can help it, but recognize that their pain was once yours. That's how we transmute, is when we're allowing the other person to just have their moment and getting it out, and not taking it personal, because it's never personal. The person might be upset and it may come across as it being personal, but the majority of the time, it's personal to them, not you. It's only personal to you if it's a trigger that it's rubbing and bringing to surface for you to heal. But that's how relationships work. We bring it up for each other to recognize, hey, I'm your mirror. Hey, I can hold the space for you. Hey, I got to walk away. You need to learn to discern where you're at in every situation, whenever you engage with somebody, and be willing and honest with yourself to recognize, oh my gosh, I can't handle this right now. And sometimes you got to speak up. This is tapping into your body's wisdom. Where do you feel it? Whew, I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my throat. I feel it in my stomach. You know what? I can't be in this conversation right now. Can we revisit this later down the road? I'm sorry. I'm not in the space to be on the receiving end of this situation. And in some cases, you may be dealing with a narcissist who goes off and you need to get up and you walk away. Whatever it is you got to do to take care of you. Because, again, ahimsa is non-harm. Do no harm. And that's in the form of words, thoughts, actions, deeds. To yourself and others. So, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. This was really what I was going to come on with. And this is where we need to end the cycle of pain and fear. We need to make the world a better place through our own healing. And if we don't start with ourselves, we're doing a disservice to ourselves in the world. Where we're at, new moon, new energy. Everybody wants a fresh start. We need to get over this bickering. We need to get over this divisiveness. You know, politics, drop it. Sport teams, drop it. Your background, your religious affiliation, your background and your family lineage. Like, seriously, Team Human, people. Can we just get on Team Human? That's my prayer for humanity right now, is that we start getting back to Team Human and looking at one another with compassion and love. And really, like, love from the heart, not from the head, not the ego, but the heart and the soul. Because our hearts and souls are one, whether you want to believe it or not. And if it wasn't for the evil, you wouldn't recognize the good. And everybody's got some good in them, even the evil. And that's the hardest one to work with, isn't it? When you feel like someone's trying to take you down, aren't those the hardest people that you don't want to even extend that olive branch because you feel they're doing something to you because you've taken on the role of the victim. But if anything, you can still say a prayer. You can still place something on your altar. Whatever it is you got to do, work on how you think. The negative thoughts that we keep, the stories we run through our heads, you know, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, sending out like, I hope something bad happens to this or that person. When you're doing that, again, the body doesn't know the difference. And that depletes your heart and soul because you're inflicting that on you. You may think it in your head, but you're manifesting it in your body. And ill will against another inflicts harm against yourself. Keep that in your mind. Remember that the next time someone is in your mind and you're angry at them and you want to wish bad juju on them or ill will against them, because that's always coming back at you. It's not like it goes out. No, it's a boomerang. It comes right back at you. We need to be able to do better, people. And when you know better, you can do better. And right now in this world, we have a lot of people that are allowing their emotions to rule them. And we really need to come back to awareness and mindfulness of what's going on within us. Because everything that's going on around us is a direct reflection of the collective and where we're at, right? So if you're not working on the inner stuff, you're just going to keep on feeding the outer stuff. So the more you look out and you see what feels like pain, chaos, disorder, discomfort, whatever you see out there is a reflection of in here. And the only way we fix that out there is working on here. Getting together with people who uplift, inspire, support you. This is the thing I can suggest for everyone. Humanity needs to come back together. Humans in unity equals humanity. If we keep sitting back and thinking someone's going to save us, somebody else is going to do for us, we're giving our power away. That's what victims do. It's not me. I can't do this. We have all got a role to play. We all have a part in this life, or we wouldn't have been born and incarnated. Own it. Step into your personal power. I have faith in you. I have faith in humanity. I love humans. I love animals too. That's what animals are for. Do you know, I know so many animal lovers who are like, oh, I like animals better than humans. Well, guess what animals are for? They're there to teach you compassion so that you can show that compassion to humans. When you have problems with humans and you do have a pet, use your pet as your teacher, because that's what they're there to do, to teach you compassion for humans, because they got compassion for you. You may not have compassion for the humans, but your animal has compassion for you. So think about that teacher. Dog is God backwards, people. Come on. God's always with you. It's just if you're willing to see him. God is in every little detail. And he does not give you anything you cannot handle. And what is for you cannot be kept against you or away from you. It will be delivered to you, but you have to be ready for it, to receive it, willing to receive it. Because if you have that demoting belief that I'm not worthy, then it'll keep on passing you by until you find your worthiness, and then it'll shoot on in. It's the law of attraction, the energy, vibration. It's all relevant because all of this is influencing that. Don't let that influence this, because that's the wrong way. That's inverted. We are the ones we've been waiting for. I don't know about anybody else. I'm excited because we just got this powerful new moon last night. I said a beautiful prayer the other night. I'm here to support humanity in the lifting up of the consciousness of the collective, because I feel into it. And I feel there was a real powerful prayer going out. And I know I wasn't the only one. I'm not giving up or giving in. And I don't expect any of you to be doing the same. I expect you all to be rising in your Christ consciousness, because that's what we're here to do. The Christ consciousness is within each and every one of us. And unless you're willing to work on your Christ consciousness, what else are you expecting? Nobody can do it for you. We are all in this together. Together we rise. So in that note, let's pull a card. Notes from the universe on love and connection, because isn't that what life is about? Love. You're always coming from a place of love or fear. And the truth of the matter is, love is the highest form of energy. I've been thinking about going back to reading from the books like I used to. When I used to pull the hook'ems. Those I enjoy doing. I haven't done that in a while. I'm feeling the call to start pulling out the Book of Secrets with Osho. And I miss doing these videos, but unfortunately I've been noticing I'm a little shadow banned and censored. I don't know why. So if you're not seeing my videos, and last year I was getting thousands of views and hundreds of likes on my stuff. This year I seem to be barely seen and barely up to 100. So let's see what comes out. Is there a struggle? So remember, you got to do you. The more you're true to you, the more your life will really rise. The more you're true to you, true, amazing miracles and magic will show up to you. You are destined for greatness on the wings of love. To clarify, the primary roles of love are not to heal, fix, or mend, not to soothe, cure, or ease, not even to refresh, rejuvenate, or restore. Hardly. The primary roles of love are to yahoo, yeehaw, and hoo-hoo. Get your love on from the universe. Love is about living life, not living in fear. If you're living in fear of death, then you're not living at all. Remember that. That's my message for humanity right now. Stop living in fear. You've made it this far. What makes you think something else is going to take you out unless you're meant to be taken out? Truth of the matter is, your heart says when. And as long as your heart is beating, you're intact. You got connection to source. You're breathing. You're living. But, again, living is a choice. And if anything, you need to choose. Are you living fully, or are you living in fear? Which means you're basically, essentially, living to die. Dying to live. No such thing. Can't have it both ways. Love is the highest vibration. Let's raise this consciousness, people. Align yourself with your Christ consciousness. You are worthy. And you are a child of the Most High God, made in His perfect image. Never, ever forget that. You're beautiful, and I love you so much. Take good care of yourself. Smile often, and bring peace out into the world by bringing peace back to your heart.